Yes. All right. So the purpose of this talk is twofold. One, I'm hoping you will actually learn something that's going to be helpful for yourself as a business person, as a franchisee. Also, at the same time, as you can tell from the way I put this first slide, I'm hoping to give you a sales mastery session as well. Basically, I did this as a sales mastery session, and I said to Fiona, I think I might have something here. Can I actually share this? And she said, yeah. The bit that, I hope I'm putting Fiona in a spot here. She said, the bit I particularly liked was your second half. So hopefully you're going to get something out of both halves. So here we go. We're talking about character. We can look at the effect of character. Can we deliberately get better at it? And what will we do differently as a result? So I'm sure you know the technique triangle well. But the top of the technique triangle is a piece of the technique that I don't think we spend an awful lot of time on, or maybe just me. Let's just say personal presence. And as you can see, personal presence, we've got, what have we got? We've got energy, communication, and we've got character. Well, you might not know, of course, about the character triangle in that case. And the reason you've not come across the character triangle before is, anybody ideas? Any ideas where perhaps you have not necessarily seen this triangle before?
Because you just invented it?
Correct. So that will be it. No, I didn't actually tell my clients that, but I'm telling you that. So this is me adding to the Sandler lexicon. So the character triangle is the qualities you need to be the most compelling character you can be. And as you can see, that's made out of, to the right, accountability, to the left, integrity, but very importantly, the very top of the triangle, and therefore the top of all of the technique, is charisma. Now, this is actually based on types of charisma, is based from the charisma myth. I'm not sure whether you've come across Olivia Fox-Cobain's book. I'm sure Marcus has, I guess you have. But this is my take on it, okay? Now, Olivia Fox-Cobain suggests there are 4 kinds of charisma. There's authority, vision, focus, and kindness. Now, what I was doing in Sales Mastery, and I suggest you perhaps would do this, you'd actually get your Sales Mastery class to actually discuss what all of these things might mean, about what makes people feel, where does it come from, what do people notice, but we haven't got an awful lot of time today to do all of that, so I'm going to short circuit it a bit and put in some notes for you. So authority charisma, I'm sure you'd agree, that makes people feel that somebody in charge. And authority charisma is engendered by position, power, and knowledge, isn't it? The fact that they are the expert. And what do people notice? In particular, they're going to notice body language. That leads on to vision charisma. When people see that, they feel enthused. And where does that come from? That comes from the belief, typically from the business owner. And people notice that more than anything else through voice. Focus charisma. This is actually takes a bit of conversation before people get what we're talking about here. But if you are absolutely focusing specifically on that person in front of you 100%, what does that make people feel? Well, it makes them feel understood. And that is engendered by demeanor, everything, not just body language, everything. And what do people notice? They notice that you're 100% present with them. And then the last but not least, kindness charisma. That makes people feel accepted, and it's engendered by warmth, and people notice your gentleness. Now, this is the bit where we are going to do the discussion. What are the pros of authority charisma, do you think, for business? What would be what would be a good thing about authority charisma in business?
Paul, does it convey kind of a domain knowledge? You know, if you come across an authority, people are more likely to kind of listen to what you have to say in your perspectives.
Absolutely, thank you, love it. What about the cons? Are there any cons, any difficulties potentially with that, with authority charisma?
Critical parent.
Yeah, oh yeah, critical parent. It made people feel really small, couldn't it? Yeah, okay, right, got it, okay. Vision of charisma, though. What are the pros of vision charisma?
taken people on a journey, Paul. So they listen to you because you seem to know where you're going, and you'll carry them along. Your enthusiasm and your kind of focus carries them along with you.
Love it. Absolutely superb. Brilliant. Any cons then in that case? There's going to be no downside to that, right? That's going to be fantastic. That's what you need.
Well, if people don't tie into the vision, they don't feel connected, and they think, well, it's easy for you to say it, Paul, but you know, I couldn't do that. It's just your picture, not my picture.
Could be, just absolutely. Okay, so we'll hang on to that. What about focus charisma? Any advantages of having plenty of focus charisma? Anything?
Results.
Yeah, you're seen as too focused on the results and not enough on the people.
Oh, so that was a con. Okay, right. Yeah.
Yeah, sorry.
So I was thinking the results.
Positive.
What were your positive results?
Clarity.
Sorry?
Clarity.
Priority.
I think it's a clarity.
Oh, clarity. Sorry, clarity. I'm going to say
No, clarity.
Yeah, I got it now. Okay, but what am I saying?
That was ironic.
If someone really feels that you are totally 100% focused on them, they're going to really feel understood and are prepared to really feel like you've got their best interests at heart, aren't they? But the cons, you're right, that could come over a bit too strong. I think Anna was what we're saying there. Kindness charisma. There's got to be some really good reasons for having kindness charisma in business. What would that?
People want to follow someone they think who is on their side.
Nice. Any disadvantages, however?
Too nice.
Too nice. You can be taken advantage of, can't you? Yeah, too nice and too wimpy. All right. So in a sales environment, and this is when we are selling to our potential clients now, everybody, which charisma is going to be the most useful out of authority, vision, focus, and kindness?
Doesn't it depend on where in the cycle we are?
Okay, in a discovery meeting, in that case, in a pain discovery meeting, which would be the most useful?
Focus.
Focus. Yes, absolutely.
Can you put two of them together, Paul? Could you be focused kindness?
I don't think so, to be quite honest. No, I don't think so.
What about nurture?
Yeah, but there's nurture, and focus as well, isn't there? Because they're the only person you're completely and utterly focused on them and nothing else. So it's not a giving, which is what kindness would be. This is for the moment, just for the moment, being utterly focused, 100% present on them. So if that is going to be the one we really want to get better at, how can we deliberately get more focused? How can we do that? How we can actually deliver more focused charisma? And the first thing is to be aware, to have that awareness that that's something that we want to do. Because quite often, having more focused charisma isn't anything more than just that, just being aware that that's what we should be doing. Confidence. We need lots and lots of confidence to be able to be completely focused. And how does that come across? Well, some of it comes through body language, obviously. And that, you know, if we're going to be really totally 100% focused on them in this meeting, that's going to need a little bit of nodding. I'm sure you'd agree. But funny enough, we tend, if we're not careful, to overdo it. That's why I'm brackets less, believe it or not. We're going to have to do less nodding. What happens if all you're doing is just, Do we really get the feeling that they are totally 100% focused on us? Or are they actually thinking, I'm going to try and answer your question in a minute. You can just tell behind their eyes that something else is going on because it's, So in actual fact, funny enough, we've got to possibly nod less. And active listening, really active listening now. And that pretty much means slow down. And maybe just pause before an answer. Just that little bit of pause that makes it really clear that you've absolutely taken on board everything about them and what they're saying. And you're just giving a moment, that pause. When you see the veterans doing pain funnels, you think, well, what is it they're doing? Why is that so effective? I'm going to suggest it's that momentary extra beat, that little pause, and it's so obvious that they are 100% concentrating on the person in front. So what I would actually do in a sales mastery session, I would actually then do a couple of role plays. I'd say, right, okay, let's do a role play. maybe just talking about family, that kind of thing. Do some questioning around some family situations, that, you know, just normal. And then we'd do another one, do a pain funnel, but as if the person in front of them is the only person in the universe. What do you think we might see is happening when we do that in our sales mastery session? It's electric. I've got to ask you to try it. It's just amazing when you ask them to do that. In actual fact, do you think people are going to find that easy to do when you ask them to do it? No, I know, you're right. No. Well, why is it so hard? Why is it so hard for our clients to pull this one off?
Because I think it takes a very high level of concentration.
It does, doesn't it?
And I think also people are too busy formulating their next sentence. They're too worried about going down the pain funnel, so they're thinking too much on their side.
Exactly. So we're straight back into the thinking about what they're going to say, what they need to say, and they just forget that, no, hang on a second, no, leave that. And they're into trying to solve mode. Even when it's a role play, they're into solution mode. You absolutely cannot be in solution mode if you're going to do this right. So if we're going to really, really do an excellent pain discovery meeting, this is the way to go. Focus, charisma. All right, so hang on a second. Oh, I didn't want to do that. But I was going to say, what harms charisma? Well, I'm going to suggest it's either self-doubt, imposter syndrome, or self-criticism. And what sort of things can we do to really counter those things? Well, with self-doubt, transfer. Does anyone know what I might mean by transfer? Anyone know what I mean by transfer? Okay, basically just for the purpose of the interaction that you've got with your potential client, or whatever, if anything where you're in a situation where you're feeling a little bit self-doubting, just remember, or just, if you like, put it on the shoulders of somebody else. Transfer that doubt to somebody else for a second. Let them, metaphorically, shoulder that burden. So for example, one of the things that I do, I realize that when I'm going to go into a very important client meeting, or I'm going to do a very important talk to all my peers in Sandler UK network, I remember that regardless of whether I mess up or not, my wife loves me, regardless. I mean, God knows what she does, but she does. That's enough. You know, that's it. You know, no, nothing bad can happen from there. Yeah, because I've transferred the worry up to somebody else. Rewriting reality. Do we know what rewriting reality might be?
Affirmations?
Yes, it is, but it's actually, I stole it from you, Annalie, actually. Do you know the exercise I mean?
I do. I'm not going to steal your thunder, Paul. You got this.
Go for it. Go. Explain to us how do you rewrite reality?
Are you talking about the writing down the exact opposite?
Correct.
So I write down all of my negative thoughts that's holding me back on that day, in the moment, right now, on a piece of paper, and then I write the exact opposite, whether or not that's what I need to believe right now, but I write the exact opposite to replace the negative head trash in the moment.
Brilliant. And then when I missed out the most important part, and that is when you read the other side, you realize that in actual fact the right hand column is reality. That's actually what's going on. The stuff that you were worried about wasn't even true. So that's rewriting reality. Imposter syndrome. I think the best way of getting rid of imposter syndrome, by the way, you have imposter syndrome, right? I certainly do. A number of times I'm with a potential client or with a client and they're asking me stuff and I'm thinking, whoa, what do I have the right to tell them about their business, the way they're running things, their industry? I've never actually sold that sort of stuff before. I mean, like that. You feel a bit of an imposter, right? But if we just realize we all have that. Everybody, I mean, all the way up to the Prime Minister and the President of the United States, everybody has the imposter syndrome. So then that's fine. That's okay. That's part of the human condition. Don't worry about it. Move on. Self-criticism. How can we get rid of self-criticism? Emily's already mentioned journaling. Absolutely. And I'm going to say collecting compliments too. I mean, I don't know about you guys, but I'm really bad about collecting compliments. But we need to make sure that we capture every single good compliment we ever get, whether that's verbal or written. And that will really, really help with that self-criticism and really build up that self-belief. So how can we grow charisma? Well, I'm going to quickly ask you, what are the characteristics of confident people? Because that's what we're talking about here, is confidence. Give me some of the characteristics of confident people. What are they like?
Unassuming.
Unassuming.
They listen.
Sorry? You listen. Yeah?
You make things look effortless.
Huh. How do you make things look effortless? I like that. How do you make that look effortless?
I mean, confident, I guess. Yeah, no. How do you do it?
They stay out the drama triangle.
Yes.
Not desperate.
Thank you, Paul. Absolutely perfect. That it's not feeling desperate. It's not coming across in any way desperate. It's absolutely fine. Whatever happens, it's fine. Superb. So we've got to have that feeling that we don't need the business. We want the business. We don't need the business. I'm going to ask us to perhaps try on a new belief every now and again. I mean, this is absolutely what Nigel was talking about yesterday. A belief is a lie that you choose to believe. But I don't know about you guys, but I always have a real problem with actually just changing belief, even though it's something that I know I've got to do, because at the same time, it's a lie. It's a lie. So how can I do that? How can I lie to myself? So this is what I would suggest. We can borrow a belief. We can try it on just for a short while. Just say, well, okay, just assume for a second that it might actually be, for at least for a short while, just for today, just for this moment, it might actually be true. What would that be like? And if we kind of like that, how that feels, and it's giving some positive results, we might want to keep that particular coach that we borrowed. But if it doesn't gel, if it's not working, we can take it off and try another one. So I'd say, if you're having problems changing your belief, try on one. Don't make the change, just borrow one for a while. See how it goes. Another thing we can do is ask a favor. Has anyone come across the Benjamin Franklin effect? No? Okay, well, this is when you're perhaps having a problem with a bit of a scary person or a scary client or scary contact. And you think, oh my gosh, that they're not really on side here, and I really can't afford to lose favor with them. Maybe it's a new person in an existing account. How am I going to deal with this person? And we want to help our charisma with them, asking them for a favor. What actually happened? Benjamin Franklin had an enemy, and he thought, I'm not sure how I'm going to get around this enemy at all. So what he did, he actually asked to borrow a very expensive book from his enemy. And as a result of asking for that book, which he did get to borrow, there was this kind of connection. And it was almost as if his now not so enemy felt beholden to him, to Benjamin. Why do you think that might work? When you're asking a favor from somebody, and yet, hang on a minute, the beholden is direction. Why does that work, do you think?
We do this.
Say again?
Reciprocation.
Reciprocation. Exactly. It's absolutely weird, but it works. So if
We do this when we ask for a pen, a paper.
that's it.
Yeah.
Because that's it. Who here actually does ask for the when we're live, pen and paper from the clients? Do you know that?
Always.
Always. Or
Yeah.
I can say always. For those people that perhaps are new to Sandler, might know what we're talking about there. The suggestion is you go into your potential client completely and utterly naked of everything, not even a pen, not even a piece of paper, none of those things, no brochures, nothing. And you start talking and you say, well, hang a second, this looks kind of important. You don't have a pen, do you? Oh, for goodness sake, yeah, here's a pen, right, fantastic. Okay, and a piece of paper, and they give you the piece of paper. And I've actually had someone actually go all the way upstairs and back down again to get the pen and paper for me. what happens to bonding and rapport at this stage?
You're in not okay.
Yes.
I think.
Yeah, we're not okay. And the bonding and rapport is going through the roof because for some strange reason that the Benjamin Franklin effect absolutely works. Nigel was suggesting yesterday fear, because this is what we're trying to make sure we don't have that fear, particularly in this fearful time. And he was suggesting that the opposite of fear is joy. Do you remember? Or indeed maybe brave, or maybe excitement. Well, I'm going to suggest in actual fact, fear equals excitement. I don't really know, but biologically speaking, the hormones and everything that's rushing around through your body when you're feeling fear is exactly the same hormones as when you feel excitement. So why is it that we feel fear rather than excitement in that case? What makes us fearful when in actual fact it's the same hormones as excitement? I'm getting a lot of chats, but I can't actually see the chats at the same time. Can someone talk to me?
Are you talking about the hormones rushing through?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. So why do we actually decide? Why do we have fear rather than excitement in that case? If it's exactly the same chemicals rushing around through our body.
It's adrenaline, fear, flight, flirt.
We're in the zone.
Sorry?
In the zone.
In the zone. So in other words, we have to decide. It's our decision. It's our decision to be either fearful of the situation we're in or be excited by it. That's what it comes down to. It's our decision. Okay. So the things that help grow charisma, compassion, right? We're saying maybe we don't want to have too much of that kindness charisma, but certainly having compassion, that's going to help our charisma grow still. Giving freely. So who here has read The Go-Giver? Go-Giver? Yeah, and there's a whole little collection of Go-Givers books, isn't there? Definitely worth reading if you haven't read it. Just being able to give freely really helps our confidence grow. It's the law of compensation, isn't it? In actual fact, it's the more you give that actually is the real value, your real richness. But here's the real kicker. It's on the other side. It means, therefore, we have to, in order to grow our charisma, if we are going to give freely, we have to accept everything freely too. We have to accept everything, including compliments, graciously. Why is that a difficulty? Why do people have problems, do you think, accepting everything?
I think when people are complimenting, they're up to something or after something.
Yes. Okay. But why is that a problem? I mean, why have we got ourselves into that kind of thinking, do you think?
Well,
Not very British.
Not very British.
Not very English. I'm Welsh. They suffer the same way. Disc has got a role to play in this a little bit, hasn't it?
How do you mean? Explain to me.
Certain types of disc personality will accept compliments, in fact, demand them. Others will refute them as disingenuine.
I don't know. Would anybody agree with David? I'm not sure. I think
I think it's just more that we're naturally kind of embarrassed at the attention and the sort of the praise. And I know when I was working, I remember the only good thing one of my bosses once said to me is, when someone gives you a compliment, Lisette, don't say no, it was nothing, blah blah. Just say thank you. And it was like a really good lesson.
At least say thank you. Accept it graciously. It's something that we're just not used to doing. It's something that we're for some reason we're uncomfortable accepting stuff. But what happens if we don't accept everything that comes to us? What's actually happening is that we are stopping the flow of that that energy. If people are trying to give to us and we are refusing to accept, then we can't exactly be able to give freely either, except that to expect that to happen, because we're not. So if we are wanting to get that charisma growing, we have to be aware that we need to help train the people that we're talking to, that we are going to accept very freely anything that they're going to give us, including compliments, and we will give very freely back. This is where the trust is going to absolute, that our personal presence is suddenly going to explode if they understand that you are prepared to accept them, everything about them, including their compliments, anything, the bits of paper, the pens, everything. We will accept it graciously. And this actually takes effort. This takes practice.
Well, if everyone's an imposter, and we all are, then actually we find it very difficult to accept anything that would suggest that we're not an imposter.
Isn't that strange? So that's why we need to actually train ourselves to do this.
I think, however, we're getting a bit confused, because compliments which people give us in the early part of a sales process, where they say, "You're fantastic, send me an email," that's not a compliment. And we can say thank you to it, but it's actually a slow no, if you see what I mean. So I think there's a difference between kind of like a slow no and a genuine compliment. So we just have to remember that.
Okay, all right, but I see. I would still accept the compliment graciously, even though.
Oh yeah, you say thank you. I agree.
Yeah, I still say thank. Yeah, so well, I really appreciate that you want that proposal. Absolutely. But from what I'm really understanding from the vibes that you're giving me is really and true. What you would like to be able to say to me is no. Can I? So in effect, I'm asking to accept their no. I want to.
Nigel made a good point in the chat that if they get a stroke when you accept the compliment, and you always make sure that for every stroke they give you, you give them one back.
Yeah, absolutely. I'd agree with that for sure.
Paul, something that Andy, really simple thing that Andy taught me, what you're talking about there, was when you get that compliment, to say something. My word is just, it's a pleasure, but you say it with real conviction. And as Andy said, when you do that, you take it on your eye, and that naturally helps you grow your charisma. Really, really simple. And when I do it, you notice the body language of the person as well. They feel good about what they just did because you accepted it. So it's a real double-edged sword. I think it works really well. I think you make a great point.
Yeah. But and the point I'm trying to make as well, thank you so much for that, Simon, is that we actually have to practice this, right? We have to practice both ways. We have to practice being totally, utterly focused on the person in front of us, and be totally okay with what comes back as well. Both ways. So what effect do you think character will have on your business, your bank balance? Well, actually, talk about that practice. Can you think of some occasions where you might be able to practice this real focus charisma? Any ideas as to where you might be able to practice this?
In the pub.
In the pub? Okay, talk to me. How in the pub?
Always where this is actually something that Zet taught me in the early days of when you're practicing your questioning strategies, is trying out friends in the pub, and then you'll become really good at it, because you realise no one ever notices you do stuff. So it's always been my testing ground.
I would totally agree in the pub. Where else?
Well, I was thinking with your team.
Definitely with your team. What would happen, do you think, if you were, next time you're talking to somebody in your team, somebody who reports to you maybe, and you have them in front of you, and they are literally the only person in the universe? What difference would that make, do you think, in that conversation?
More sex with Jodie, maybe, but apart from that.
But okay, not your partner, right? If they're the only person in the universe.
She's part of the team, though.
Paul, there's nothing else that matters. It's Friday night nearly. Come on, give him a break.
I'm a bit worried that it means if there's no one else in the universe, you rely on her. I'm hoping you rely on her now.
She is gorgeous as well.
All right.
I think we need to move on.
Leaving that aside, I am saying not just with your team, I'm going to say that even when, for example, you are buying something from a shop, right? And you're talking to the shopkeeper, you're buying petrol, right? You're using your tap credit card thing, you know? What would happen, do you think, if you made it really, really obvious from everything about you that they were the only person in the universe for that moment when you're having that transaction? And it's a pure transaction. You're not even going to say very much. What difference do you think that would have, do you think, in that interaction?
Does it give Paul what I call the Bill Bartlett effect? Like you feel like the most important person in the world at that moment. This is when you're feeling like it's all about you, and just it's a great place to be. That's what Bill Bartlett does to everyone.
Thank you. Exactly. That's the point. It's the greats like Bill Bartlett that just do this, right? But it's
a really, really good point. We can practice this with everyone. And it has a tremendous, like the package delivery guy dropped something off and then scooted off, and I for some reason I wasn't on the phone, so I chased him out the door, and I said, "Hey," and he stopped. I says, "I really appreciate your package," and it was just I don't care how he felt. It made me feel great doing that. You know what I mean?
Yes, I do exactly what you mean.
You can make somebody's day. Just by pausing and being, this is the point you're making, Paul. It's brilliant. It's great.
Their day. But very importantly, why do you think I want you to practice? This is the homework, right? This is the homework. Why do I want you to practice in those kind of situations with the package, with the checkout person? Why do I want you to practice that? What difference is it going to make? Oh, it makes their day, but who the hell cares about that? What about business now? What about your business? What difference is it going to make to you in your business?
Comes second nature, Paul, so that if you do it when it doesn't count, you can do it when it counts the most.
And right, and when is it going to count the most?
In front of prospects.
In front of prospects, in front of clients.
Well, sure too.
Prospects are going to become clients an awful lot more often, right? Because they will absolutely buy you. Okay, our Sandler stuff is brilliant, okay? There's no question about it. It's the best stuff in the world. But why do prospects sign up with you?
We show them that we care about them.
Right. They're buying this. Ladies and gentlemen, they're buying this. This is why it's so important. It's the only thing we've got to sell. It's this. So we better get good at it. They're buying our presence. They're buying our charisma. They're buying our ability to be completely present for them. That's what they're buying. So we're going to get good at it.
Yeah, the flip side is, and it's really tough to admit, because we tend to get lost in all did I do the right budget step? Do I quantify pain? Blah, blah, blah. But I'm pretty much 99 times out of 100, when someone doesn't buy from you, and you're in fact, it was to do with you.
Yeah, totally.
The personal presence is bonding and rapport.
I had a great EB last week. I never had so many people turn up to my EB, and not a single person wants to talk to me afterwards. I thought it was a great EB. I was really giving all the rest of it, but I mean, for all of them to say no, it was definitely me. I don't know what it was, but I didn't do this bit. They did not buy into my charisma.
Yeah,
that was it. Okay, so what effect has character on your business, your bank balance? What effect has it got? Kind of huge, may I say. So what are you going to do today to increase your charisma? What are you going to do?
Not sure it's possible.
On your situation?
I'm more self-aware.
More self-aware.
Maybe some humility.
Humility. What else? Like
more.
I like Paul's remarks. Self-awareness, because I that's so true. Step one, we've got to see that we're not doing it, and
yeah, that's exactly. We've got to be conscious that that's the kind of charisma we want to give. Not authority, not vision, not kindness. focus charisma, and it's the one thing. It's one of the four that's it's the easiest to learn. In actual fact, you can actually learn it. You can actually practice it. You can actually get better at it. Right? It's something you can do today that's going to make a difference to your charisma and to your bank balance.
I think one of the most important things that we can do is we can slow down and we can stop applying technique. I think that one of the biggest mistakes I see we as Sandler folk and our clients pick it up from us is that we forget that you're not dealing with an organic ATM machine. These are living, breathing, mostly sentient human beings. And you have to be fully present. The technique must be applied as a shield, not a sword. And you don't just do technique. It's you know, if you use the asking for a piece of paper as a move, rather than with an understanding of the underpinning psychology, and if you do negative reversing as a technique, you just come across as an arse. And I think you have to be fully present. You have to be vulnerable. You have to be nurturing, and you have to be completely authentic. That means you have to be genuinely present, curious all the way. And that's where your charisma comes from, because all human beings want to be heard, to feel felt, and to be understood.
Marcus, what a fantastic summary of my presentation. Thank you very much indeed. It's exactly what I was all about. That's exactly it.